Start. All right, calling to order Human Rights Commission meeting. Today is September 3rd. The time, Tuesday, September 3rd, the time is 5:48 p.m. I'm just gonna go around and do roll call real quick, starting with District 1. I'll just say your district and if you guys want it for it. District 1. Present, great. I'll say this as well. District 2 is vacant. Olivia Jaramillo, District 3.
Present.
Thanks, Olivia. Will Terry, District 4, present. Jennifer Mayer Glenn, District 5. Not present. David Lita, District 6, not present. Emily Kahn, District 7.
Present.
Awesome. Everett Bacon at large is not present, and Pamela Silberman at large.
Present, I think she had to step away, but she's here.
Okay. Okay, well, we have a new member of our commission. I'm thinking if we could just go around and like introduce ourselves for Emily. Emily, if you want to kick it off and introduce yourself, we'd love to get to know you. Yeah.
I'm Emily Kahn. Really excited to be here for the first meeting that I get to be part of. I am relatively new to Salt Lake, so this is the start of my 4th school year here, and I work at an independent school called Roldan Hall. I'm the director of learning services, and just really appreciative of the opportunity to serve on the commission and also learn more about Salt Lake.
Well, thank you. Excited to have you. Commissioner Satini, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Lucia Satini, so yes, District 1, I'm everything West Side, Salt Lake. And currently I do part-time work with the Utah Historical Society, and then director for a program called Jayhawk's House that operates on the west side of Salt Lake.
Thank you. Commissioner Jaramillo, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself for the new commissioner?
Yes, hi. My name is Olivia Jaramillo. I'm the Human Rights Commissioner for District 3. And excited to have you.
Thanks, Olivia. And then just following suit after Olivia and Will Terry, the Vice Chair of the Human Rights Commission. In my free time, I work for Quality Utah. I'm their political manager and development specialist. So it's nice to have you join us. Thank you. And then I will just skip on over Pamela if she's available to speak right now.
Yeah, I'm here. I turned off my camera because there is so much sun coming in this window that it just looks frightening. Hi, nice to meet you. Pamela Silberman, and I'm an at-large commissioner. Sorry, dog barking. And I live in District 4, but I serve as an at-large commissioner. And for my day job, I work for a humanitarian organization called Church World Service, and I oversee national programs serving Afghan and Ukrainian and Cuban and Haitian refugees.
Thank you, Pamela. And then we have a member of the public here today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Lucia. I live just up the street. I don't know what district I'm in, but off of State Street in North Temple.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you. Is there, attendees are invited to, share remarks. Is there anything you'd like to share with us today, or are you just kind of watching in?
I just figured I have a lot of free time right now, so I figured I'd try and get more involved in what's going on in the city.
Well, yeah, thank you for joining us.
We're like, you have time? We like that.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, is there anybody else online?
Yes, just Nancy.
Okay.
But Nancy, do you have anything for us today or just observing?
Were you talking to me?
Yes, do you have anything? Any
I don't-
updates? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm going to turn the time over to Jason, who's going to be facilitating our Open Public Meetings Act training.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Can everyone hear me okay? All right, sounds good. I appreciate the chance to come talk to you about open and public meetings today. We're just gonna talk a little bit about the training that's required, the kind of steps we'll be taking, and then I'm happy to take any questions if you have them. So the first thing we have is there's a statutory obligation to train. So this is something that the legislature requires us to keep up on an annual basis. In this particular instance, when we're talking about open and public meetings, the basic principle is that a committee meeting must be open to the public unless there's an exception available that would give it a good reason for closing the meeting. The meetings themselves, it's the convening of at least a quorum of the committee for the purpose of discussing, receiving comments from the public about, or acting upon a matter over which the committee has jurisdiction or advisory power. So if you have a chance gathering or a social gathering, those aren't instances where we're convening a public meeting. So you don't have to worry about that being a public meeting, but I would caution you against doing anything that could be considered conducting business in those type of chance gatherings or things of that nature. As far as discussing items or things like that that you may be working on or those types of things. We can also hold electronic meetings subject to the act. We've been doing that pretty regularly since COVID, and I think it's made it a lot easier to be able to get everyone together and actually have a quorum and conduct the meetings. One of the things we need to do is we need to give notice of the meetings. Typically, we need to give at least 24 hours public notice of each meeting, and we need to include a few things. We want to include the agenda, the date, time, and place of the meeting. And then when we put the notice together, we also have to publish it. And we've had some relatively recent changes to just what we need to do to publish meeting notices. What we need to do now, we need to post it at a location where it's typically going to be seen by the public. One of those locations could be essentially the principal office of the committee or here at the city and county building. We also need to post it on the Utah Public Notice website and on the city's website. So those are the locations that we can use to post those items. In addition, we want to give annual notice of our annual meeting schedule. And we're always encouraged to use additional means of providing notice to the public so that everyone can be aware of the meetings that we're holding. What we really want to do is make sure that everyone who has an interest in attending has an opportunity to see what the agenda will be like and have an opportunity to attend and participate in the meeting. So with regard to the notice requirement, if we have an emergency meeting, then we don't need to give the 24-hour notice. We just want to give the best notice practicable regarding the time and place of the emergency meeting and the topics to be considered. We can't hold an emergency meeting unless the committee tries to contact all the committee members and at least a majority of the committee members approve holding the meeting. So with regard to the agendas, we want to provide reasonable specificity as to give the public notice about what we are going to be discussing. So that anyone who might be interested in a particular topic will be aware that that topic is on the agenda and that they can attend and participate. Each topic should be listed under an agenda item. Now, if there's an item that is not on the agenda, generally the committee can't take final action on that item unless the topic, So the committee can't take final action on an item that is not on the agenda. Now, however, if a member of the public brings an issue to the committee's consideration, the chair of the meeting has discretion to allow discussion about that topic, but no final action can be taken until there's been a later opportunity to put that item on the agenda and have it properly noticed. So with regard to open meetings, the default position is that our meetings are open to the public unless there's a reason for closing them. Now, there are various reasons for closing meetings. Those can include a meeting that is closed to discuss the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual, a strategy session to discuss collective bargaining or reasonably imminent litigation, or strategy sessions to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property. Also, you can go ahead and close a committee meeting if you need to receive legal advice from counsel. So if there's something that you needed to ask me questions about, that would be an appropriate reason for closing the meeting. Now, if we are going to close a meeting, the process for doing so is to start with an open meeting. So we start in an open meeting, and then 2/3 of the committee members present must vote to approve the closing of the meeting. The meeting can only be closed for an appropriate topic, and we need to announce the reasons for closing the meeting, the location of the closed meeting, and the vote by name of each committee member, either for or against closing the meeting. So, and when we have a closed meeting, the record that needs to be kept at that meeting is a little different. Typically what we do is we won't worry about taking minutes, but we will go ahead and record that meeting. And actually, I'm sorry, I think I have that backwards. So yeah, we won't record the meeting, but we'll take minutes of that meeting. And there are a few instances where we don't even need to do that, where if we have a situation we're discussing the character or professional competence or mental health of an individual, we don't need to take any minutes. Or if we have a situation where we're discussing deployment of security personnel devices or systems. In those instances, all we need to do is the chair of the meeting will essentially sign an affidavit indicating that was discussed. So the notes of the closed meeting or the minutes of the closed meeting are typically not going to be available to the public, but one of the reasons we keep those is so if there's a challenge as to whether the meeting was appropriately closed or if what was discussed in the meeting is appropriate, then a judge would have access to those records of the meetings and can take a look at the substance of the meetings and make an informed decision as to whether or not the closure was appropriate. So with regard to the records in open meetings, we keep both the written minutes and a recording of the meeting. Either written minutes or a recording is adequate if the meeting is a site visit or a traveling tour, if no action or vote is taken. So for instance, on occasion, we may be going around the grounds of the building, taking a look at things. In those instances, simply keeping a recording could be sufficient, but we can't take any action while we're out doing that. The recording in the minutes should include the date, time, and place of the meeting, the names of the committee members present and absent, the substance of all matters proposed, discussed, or decided by the committee, which may include a summary of comments made by members of the committee, a record by individual committee member of each vote taken, the name of each person who is not a member of the committee, and no, you're fine, no, and who upon recognition by the presiding member of the committee provided testimony or comments to the committee. And one other thing is that if any committee member wants something to be noted in the minutes, they can specifically request that item be included. So if there's something you think is really important, you can request it be included to make sure that we've got a good record of that particular item. So we also are going to be approving the written minutes. And as part of that process, within 3 business days, after holding an open meeting, we need to make the audio recordings of the open meeting available to the public for listening. Within a reasonable time after holding the open meeting, we need to make the pending minutes, which are the draft minutes that haven't yet been approved by the committee, available to the public. And within 3 business days after approving the written minutes, we need to make those approved minutes available to the public. So let me, okay, here we go. So I wanted to make sure I got this right. When we're talking about closed meetings, it is in fact the recording that is kept, but we don't need to keep the detailed written minutes. So there'll be a recording of that meeting, but we don't need to keep the written minutes. And as we go through and we have electronic meetings, the committee typically, they can't hold an electronic meeting unless we've got a resolution, rule, or an ordinance adopted governing the use of electronic meetings. And I believe that's the case, that we have that for this particular board. With regard to the anchor locations, the committee needs to establish 1 or more anchor locations, which is where we're at today, and we need to provide space and make facilities available so the interested persons can attend and participate. Now, with regard to electronic messages, the Act currently doesn't restrict committee members from transmitting electronic messages like an email or a text message, but you should be aware that if you transmit those particular messages, They could be considered records that would need to be discussed or disclosed pursuant to a grant law request. So just because something is sent electronically, it doesn't mean that it's not going to be available to the public through a grant law request. So I just caution you to be careful with what you do text or transmit electronically, recognizing that that may be something that becomes available to the public. With regard to disruption of meetings, the Open and Public Meetings Act does not prohibit the removal of a person from the meeting if they're being disruptive. And with regard to the consequences of violating open and public meetings laws, if there's any final action that's taken in violation of the open and public meetings law, that particular action is voidable by a court. But there's a really short time for challenging that. A challenge needs to be started within 90 days after the date of the action that was taken. And if the issue is that the Utah Public Notice website was not posted to, and it's essentially a technical issue due to the website not working properly, then that in and of itself is not a reason for voiding a meeting action. And then finally, with regard to each of you personally, a committee member who knowingly and intentionally violates or advises a violation of the closed meeting provisions of the Open and Public Meetings Act is guilty of a Class B misdemeanor. So we just encourage you not to knowingly or intentionally violate or advise the violation of the closed meeting provisions of the act and the rest of the act as well. That's pretty much everything I've got today with regard to the training processes. Does anyone have any questions? All right, sounds good. If you're interested in more information, the state auditor's website also has an online training that you can take if you want more information or if you want a refresher. All right, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, so following Jason, we'll hear from Roxana. I'll circle on this. Okay, I skipped one of the things on the agenda. We need to approve and adopt minutes from last meeting. So I will motion to adopt. Is there a motion to approve and adopt the minutes from last meeting? Thank you, Commissioner Satini. I second that motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
I think I missed that meeting, so I'm gonna abstain. Was I at that meeting?
I think you were, but I would have to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. My life is just really so crazy
It's
right now.
okay.
I don't know what I'm doing from day to day.
Okay. And then we have Roxana Paulson. Perfect.
Sorry.
Hi, Roxana.
You
Roxana's
copy,
gonna give us an update on the mayor's office for refugees and Americans. So, Roxana, I will turn it over to you.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it just sounds funny because I got the headset on. Yes, hello everyone. Thank you for having me. It's been a minute since I last saw you all. And today I'm here just to tell you a little bit about that resource guide that you have been asking about for some time now. And just a little bit of background. It's a bit difficult to really put it in a way that it can it's going to be a living document as forever, just because different organizations come on, some go away, we have to verify who's what. But so what I did is I asked Maria to help me put together some of the, I don't know if I can share my screen, Michelle. Unless it's easier for you to, let me see. Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Let me find it. And let me see, can you see it?
Yes, it's coming up. Very good.
Okay, so this is really rough, very rough. And I think it said winter 2023 at some point, and now it says summer 2024. So I noticed that on the agenda, it says newcomers guide. So we can, we can change that. I will do whatever it is that you suggest or would like to see. There are different versions of this out there. The Refugee Services Office has one. I believe the county is, Salt Lake County is revamping theirs. And then we put one together through this group who is helping newcomers, but that one's a little more sparse because it's specific as to those organizations that can help with resources for people who just arrived. So, so that's table contents. Then what I thought the guide should begin with is just emergency contacts for Salt Lake City proper. So that would be fire, police, both emergency and non-emergency, and just different organizations that you need to get a hold of in an emergency situation. So that would be like the first page that people see. And then this is all, it's not in order, it's just different resources that are out there for different groups. So you have local refugee providers, you have housing, and the idea is to put it all together in one place. There's community shelters and outreach, so you can see through that. Ideally, it would be mainly resources in Salt Lake City because that's who we represent. So, but again, putting on there other services that are and labeling it as outside of Salt Lake City, so people know that they are not in city boundaries. Food resources, so you can go through the entire thing. I think it's this one is the older one, so it's 87 pages, but no, it's not 87 pages. It's going to be a lot smaller than that. So this will then be formatted in a way that is easy to read. Again, keep in mind, this is a draft, and then translated maybe to Spanish and like Arabic or whatever language we should deem necessary. And then I was also going to add on here the Good Neighbor Guide that the city already has. And that is just how do you get a hold of city departments. So I don't know if you have any questions or you want some time to look at this. I sent Michelle the draft copy where I took away it's no longer 87 pages. It's a lot smaller. So you don't have to go through all of those. So what I want from you, if at all, an input as to, do you want this just to be for newcomers? And that means refugee and immigrants, or newcomers as in someone who just moved here. So just kind of have to be very careful as to what it is that we're doing because of, again, that new law at the state level of not focusing on one specific group and that sort of thing. So any questions?
Sam, how many pages is it?
87 of is correct.
No.
That's
another one.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. So this one is 87 pages, the one that I'm showing you. But that's because there's other stuff at the bottom from the county. So I took that out and just sent this specifically, like the new information.
Yeah. It should have pushed you through. Commissioner Silverman, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Roxana, for sharing this. It has a lot of good information, and I think what's nice about it compared to like the 211 resource guides is you actually have like the links, like the web links and things like that. So that's different. They just have phone numbers and, you know, you also have more explanation. So I think this is, and just so I think this is really helpful. My question is, two things. Are you planning, how are you planning to distribute this or make this available? And like, are you planning to print it? Because obviously like printed, if anything changes, then it's hard to update. So I guess I was interested in knowing like plans for how you make it available, how people become aware that it exists, that kind of thing.
Okay, so the idea is for it to have it available and listed on the website, and then people can print it themselves if they want, but also putting on there that it's a living document and it's gonna change. In terms of printing it, that's where the conundrum that we run into, right? Because it's gonna be, could be outdated. So I think once it's done, we could always share it with the groups that our Access and Belonging team works with, but also have it available on our website, and then have a place to refer people to, and then also share it with providers. But I'm open to any suggestions as to what you all suggest. And because I know that the commission has wanted some sort of guide for some time now.
Do we have, I'm sure this is translated.
We're going to, we have translation services in our office. I think this is just a, like, draft right now. Once everything's finalized, then we'll get those. And to answer your question, Roxana, I think community resource guide is very inclusive. I think keep it as is. I just labeled it as that because, as we know, this has been a project for the last 2 years, and the idea did come from refugees not having, and new immigrants, right, not having the resources. Of course, this is for everyone. I looked over this, and Maria, as she was doing it, we didn't even know some of these things exist. So I think it is good for now. Clearly, we're shifting and changing. We can leave it as is. The agenda was just like reminding the commissioners what we're talking about, which is
that. Okay. And then, can you hear me still? I took that headset because it was too.
Yes.
It sounded funny. And do you think we should add the good neighbor guide as well that goes to everybody in the community? And that's basically for city, how to reach city departments, basically. Like if you have a question about garbage, if you have a question about a permit, if you have a question about a citing for a ticket or something like that. Do you think that would be helpful to include on this community guide, resource guide as well, in your all opinion?
My question would be, how long is that guide? How much longer would it make this?
So let me see. I saved the newer one, and then we would work with the formatting and make it a smart document where people can search, right? So they don't have to go through 20 pages. Because already looking at this, I'm like, good God, what am I doing here? But again, it's a draft, and I will go through with this because I know Maria was very thorough, including everything and everyone that would be relevant for someone who needs a service. So what I will do now is through it, see what's redundant or what maybe is obsolete or is not around anymore, and then tighten it and then send it to the design board so they can format it and have it ADA accessible, maybe even work on simple or on plain language. So it's a document that is accessible at all levels. And then from that point, maybe bring it back to you all, see what you think, If something's missing, if you're thinking, no, it's too long, get rid of this. Any input. So I think you're a good group to give it a review and see if it's something that will work.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I think it would be beneficial to have it included in on there. There is one resource that if I could just make a suggestion to include. In Circle House, under the LGBTQ+ resource category, would be a great one to include in on there.
And what's the name?
In Circle?
Okay.
Same with Noah. So if you're looking at this and, I mean, this could be more than us, do we just email you and say, hey, this needs to be added?
Yes.
Email me and I'll get it all to Roxanne in one document.
Yeah,
It's just
that would be great.
We have
Yeah,
time to. Cause this is your first glance at it, right? So I want you all,
Yeah.
you know, while you're having your weekend coffee or tea, like actually look through this, cause there might be some things that we don't even know. That might not be public on the website, you know, but Maria gave us like the robust version, now we're trying to see, okay, what's in Salt Lake City, and you guys are clearly Salt Lake City residents, so tell us what we're missing, what feedback, and then I can get that all to Roxana, so she has it all in one place. I'll put it on a document with all your emails.
and what I can do too is maybe send a Word document if you either you can print it or you just want to add comments on it straight, because right now I think I sent you a PDF. That makes it a little bit more tedious to comment, or you know, some people like to just print things and write on the margins. But yeah, take your time, take a look, and I mean, the goal is to have it before the end of the year, so we have something, if not sooner, and make it available to folks.
Great, so should we just look at it on our own time and then provide any edits to Roxana?
Yeah,
Okay.
I will send it in a follow-up email
Okay.
and I'll tell you guys.
So to-
Just so her email's not bombarded with different things and we can have it in one place.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I will take a look at this.
Okay, I will send you oh no, I did, but let me know if you want a Word doc, Michelle. I sent you, just while we were waiting, I sent you a draft with
Okay.
a shorter version. Not the
Yes,
one-
I have that.
Okay.
Is the Word document easier for you all to track like changes, comments, or PDF or? Okay, just send it over and then I'll include that in their follow-up meeting.
Okay. The one more thing, I wanted to invite you all to the welcoming walk on September 16th. I'm sure you got like 20 emails from me about that. But I know that the commission was there for, some of the members were there for the audit. So I definitely would love to have the commission be present for the walk and to honor some of the nonprofits that assist the city. And this year we'll do the walk again and we will plant a tree, but this year it'll be dedicated to the nonprofits who do welcoming work and work with immigrants and refugees. And just kind of highlight them for all the work they do. And yeah, so if you could all attend, that'd be great. And then I'm sure Michelle will tell you about the voting event
Yes.
on the 17th. So I'll just let her share that. But if you have any questions or if you want to participate somehow in the welcoming walk, just let me know. And I will be sending some info to you all.
Thank you, Roxana.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank
You
for being
too.
here.
Thank you.
Okay, comment updates.
Yeah.
Yeah, if does anybody have an update to share with the commission on what they've been working on in their assigned area? I know. Or
Were we rotating that?
What do you
rotating.
mean rotating?
We all presented, or not all of us?
So the idea is like, in the off months when we're not meeting, that you're kind of doing work and meeting with the
Right.
departments and that we just get to provide a little update, so if you have an
Okay.
update to provide.
And you should, okay, so for this, everyone besides Commissioner Plum, because you just joined. I'm hoping that in those off months, right, there's some progress being done. You all have to let me know what works best for you. Cause right now, we have an end of year report and we have one update, which is on homelessness. And I guess clearly the immigration area or refugees and new Americans area will have some updates for that as well. But I don't know where we're at with like food equity, what else do we have, education, like I don't know what are the concrete items belonging in the city of where we're going.
Yeah, affordable housing, I've got a little update on affordable housing initiatives, yeah. Pamela, do you have anything that you wanted to share?
Well, sorry, I didn't look at the agenda. I don't know if we have the immigration forum. That's the update I have, is just the planning for the immigration forum. And Michelle, what's the timeline for the report? Because I was assuming I would write my section after we finish the immigration forum. So is that gonna work?
Timeline? So yes, so the immigration forum, oh, you're thinking if you'll get some recommendations from there, from the feedback. You all have till November we're voting, so I have to get this draft in front of you guys. We don't have a meeting in October, right, like an official meeting. So I think I sent it out like maybe like a month ago now, and that's when I sent out David's example of what it could look like. Even if it is like, for example, I'm trying to think, partner with sustainability on food equity initiatives. If you have something more specific, then please let me know, but that's what that looks like. In terms of having progress, right? Like I wanna highlight you guys as a commission and your work, but I kinda don't know where everyone's at. So the chair and vice chair will probably be reaching out.
Yeah, to kind of just check in on what you guys are doing.
For everyone.
Yeah, just to make sure that we're kind of moving along a little bit, so.
Checking along, y'all. It can be as simple as met with my city council member, but for the report, we've seen, and I'll go over that, we've seen what kind of recommendations are on there. It has to be very substantial, I guess, like, what are we gonna do with this? The who, what, when, where, and why, versus like meeting with X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be more like, what do you guys wanna do now that you've met with these people? But it's hard to know what to do if you're not meeting with the people in those areas, right?
The idea is that's kind of the beginning of your conversation, you can figure out where to go from there.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and is everybody, I know we'll probably talk and sync up and find a good topic area.
What's my topic?
Yeah, you're like, and
We had orientation, so
Oh, yeah, we'll get on it, but I do have a little update for you guys. I did meet with the Housing Attainability Department. I'm saying that right. So there was a lot of information. It was kind of like a fire hose
Yeah,
of information.
no, the city has things they're
Yeah.
working on.
Like, whoa, yeah, whoa. So there's a couple things I just wanna like hone in on. So we went over several programs that the city's managing to help, provide affordable housing and prevent homelessness. From a city planning standpoint, these are great programs, but also from a human rights perspective, at the end of the day, everybody deserves a safe place to live, right? So a couple things I just wanna highlight and then get into one thing that I'm gonna be really like honing in on. And Commissioner Satini, I think you'll have some thoughts on this because you're West Side. Yeah, that's too, absolutely. So department's running a variety of initiatives aimed at helping those in need. So one of them is the Fix the Bricks program, which helps homeowners retrofit their homes for earthquakes or, for any kinds of things that happen like this. Because the idea is, when there's such a significant portion of your income that's going towards your housing, any little bump that happens along the way can really throw some people off. So another program to kind of highlight was the handyman program. I thought this was really cool. Offers small repairs to help seniors in their homes, and those with disabilities to kind of retrofit the homes for that as well. A lot of this work is inside the housing SLC plan and the consolidated plan. So this is like a huge documents that kind of outlay what Salt Lake City's initiatives are for housing for the next couple of years. One thing I was kind of asking them, you know, where do you see the tie-in for human rights here? What are some areas that, because it was just so much, I was like,
Right.
well, where should I go here?
Too much.
Exactly, way too much. So one thing that they pointed out to me was redlining. So yeah, redlining it's illegal now, but essentially what redlining is, if you don't know, it started back in the 1920s. And it's the discriminatory practice where essentially banks would redline certain areas that were risk investments for them, right? So like areas where, you know, they were less likely to see a return on their loans. So a lot of the areas that ended up getting redlined were places on the west side, right? So the way that impacts us today is, you know, even back then, they weren't getting the kind of funding that they needed to, so that affected things like infrastructure. It affected, you know, ability for people to, you know, improve their homes or whatever it may be. Those investments weren't happening in those neighborhoods. So long-term later, you know, we see the effects of that now, right? So if 50 years ago, people weren't able to get these kinds of resources because of these practices, you know, you can imagine how that would affect us later on. So I am kind of digging in to a lot of this, and with a special attention on redlining and how it's affecting the city long term. They've already done some work on this and some research. It's just a matter of reviewing it all. So what I plan to be doing is just taking a special look at that redlining piece, and then just coming with some updates and maybe some potential recommendations for them. Then currently just kind of reviewing everything and then gonna set up a meeting with them before our next meeting, just to give you guys an update. But that's just a little update on my area and where I'm kind of going in the direction of housing attainability. Any questions?
So they are allocating well, it sounds like funding towards the west side to improve homes.
Yeah. Well, you know, what they're doing now versus how that intersects with the learning, but yes, but then there's other issues like gentrification that come into play, and you know, we're all aware of those things, but those are some of the things they're doing right now, yeah. And transportation is a really big part of it too, so like making sure, you know, that there's adequate
Accessibility.
Exactly, and it mostly comes down, a lot of it affects mostly the west side, so.
Any talks on the SPAWS project?
I don't think we talked about that a whole lot. There's just so much information. That might be a better question for Commissioner Lita, because I know he's over homelessness and there's a lot of intersectionality with housing and homelessness, but you might have more on that. All right, well, if there are no more updates, Michelle, do you want to go over some things and dates?
I can talk about food.
Do you want?
Oh, do you have an update?
Do you have a little?
Well,
Here.
I went, so the Other Side Academy, you guys know.
Yeah.
that
Oh,
resource?
yeah.
They opened up a sister company called The Other Side Donuts.
Cute.
And it's, of course, on the west side, but just talking about healthier food options. I was like, it's a very cute, you know, bright, you know, great way for the community to come, but still high fat, you know what I mean? It's not something healthy we could, just adding on to the food desert that we're talking about, so.
Have you been able to connect with Maria Shores in this?
I think that's our last conversation, you're gonna CC me on the email.
Yes, do you want me to give that one?
Yeah, we could, yeah, loop back around to it.
To just see what the city's doing, I know there might be some, like in terms of residents, I just learned from Damien, he shared with me, I know people might see food sustainability as a big issue, as a flaw with the city, right? So those are the areas as commissioners, hearing from the residents, how can we work with this area? And it's a small area of the city, but the fact that they have a role for it clearly shows that they care, because what is her official title, Maria? Is it like, I feel like it is
Food equity,
food equity or food,
I think
like,
mine,
yes. Like she's specifically over that program. so I think she'll be happy.
Remind me her name.
Maria Shores.
Oh, I didn't know Maria.
Yes.
Sorry, my bad.
No,
I can email her.
Do you-
We've actually emailed back and forth. But I think having like just a conversation around like, because you have all these houses,
Right.
apartments going up, they're gonna need food.
Right.
Right.
I'm sure she'll have a lot of intel with how the city is responding to some of those things. But.
Oh, yes, so her title is Food Equity Program Manager.
Yeah, so like she's like,
She is it.
right,
Right.
like every one of you guys have somebody who is like directly aligned, which is good, cause with the city, it's small, but it's also big, like,
Oh, wow.
Will probably met. It's very hard to narrow it down, but yours is very specific, Pamela's very specific, Olivia's very specific. Homelessness, housing, and just that whole department is kind of very broad, so I'm like, start with them, because I don't, it's just very big. So if you don't have an update, it is okay, I just wanna kind of use this time as a check-in. But we'll go into all the fun things we have coming up. So the commission is off to a great start with our community engagement efforts. Of course, we wanna see you all get involved with policy, and I know that will come. But one thing that is different from years past is that you guys are getting more publicity. So you all are part of this voting event. This is the suggestion that Mayor had in our July meeting. Because we have the immigration forum, we were already working with Roxana and the Welcoming Week Committee. Roxana and I decided to tag team because she already was planning to do an event to be, because we're welcoming certified, right? So this is part of that effort. In being a welcoming city is to have something focused on voter registration. So it all aligns with Mayor's goals and priorities, with what the commission wants to do. I do have an official commission logo. It's just not on this one, just because the Sago Lily is already representative of the city. So I will get every single calendar invite sent out to you guys. But be excited, at least if you can't make this event, share it to your networks. It's at the Sorensen Multicultural Center, so the gymnasium side. We have all of the partners that you see here at the bottom, ACLU, English Skills Learning Center. That is the Utah Courts, I know it's kind of grainy there, National Tongan American Society, Alliance Community Services, Comunidad Unidas, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and League of Women Voters. So it'll be a great event. We'll be touching on those different points: voter registration, US citizenship process, knowing your rights, and how to become an educated voter. So it'll be very exciting, and this is in partnership with the county as well. So,
What communities are this going out to, like, mostly?
well, this is open to everybody.
Okay.
This is just part of Welcoming Week, but clearly with a big election coming up, this is on National Voter Registration Day, the actual day, so it'll be 5 to 7. This is open to all. It's just clearly it's part of Welcoming Week, so of course they'll have a section for that, but everybody needs to be educated on this. The next event will be September 24th, so Commissioner Chair David Lita, he has joined, well, the commission has joined, but he goes and represents the commission on the Community Partners Against Hate. This is a huge deal for the commission. It aligns with the work that you all are doing as it talks about hate crimes in Utah, discrimination, bias, and all of the good things that you all align with. So one of the great perks that came from this is you all are a partner on their quarterly Community Conversations film series. So this month, I worked with Dr. Jay Jacobson. I said, hey, we have a lot of programs in Salt Lake City, Salt Lake County. I feel like we over-program. Why don't we use the diversity months, right? If we can say that word. Why don't we use these months to actually focus on working with the organizations and the communities. Like I know in May, and August. It'll always be a big Pacific Islander month, so why don't we work with those community partners and collaborate? He thought it was a great idea. He never had that idea in his mind. I was like, yes. Same with Black History Month, LGBTQ Pride Month, like everybody over programs and programs enough in those months that we can use that to our advantage, have a film series on it, and then the community probably will be more inclined to come. So this is the one we'll have for Hispanic Heritage Month. They'll be looking at the film Hunting Hispanics. We'll have Council Baca on the panel, an ethnic studies professor, Annie Fukushima, Councilmember Pui will be on there, that's District 2 for Salt Lake City Council, and Utah Department of Public Safety agent, Leo Flores. So please come out. I have this marketing as well. What I'll do in the calendar invite is attach the English and Spanish. Council Baca already did this Spanish translation. And please get it out to your communities when I send it over. We wanna make this a big event. And you can see that this is your logo now, so you all can be officially recognized, separate and away from, you know, the city. Like, you'll still have to say Lily, but now they know, okay, Human Rights Commission. Going on to our next two events, you see that logo again. I think it'll be very great for marketing. So we do have our Immigration Community Forum coming up on September 28th. September is full of events, but don't overwhelm yourself. Sharing the event is more than enough, even if you can't make it. So I do want to reassure you of that. It'll be the similar format to our homelessness constructive conversation we had there. We'll have a meet and greet with the neighbors and community stakeholders. We'll have some service providers there. Again, the issue will be on immigration, and we will have Braver Angels facilitate a dialogue on it. So we're hoping with Braver Angels, if you haven't heard, so last time we used living room conversations and the feedback was basically you're preaching to the choir, right? And living room conversations is more just to get people to talk, engage, but the attendance was really, everyone thought the same about homelessness. We're hoping by partnering with Braver Angels, because they bring a nonpartisan point of view and people from different parties together, that will have that engagement. So I will send this out to you guys once I get the Eventbrite link. This will be capped to 80 people. That's just how we can fit comfortably in the Black Box Theater without one. I'm still thinking it might be a little tight for 88. We're gonna go take a tour. Pamela and I will go do that and kind of see the space and try to see how we can maximize it so we can have the people in roundtables having this discussion. A good part of this is we are partnering with the state, the Center for Economic Opportunity and Belonging, as well as the county as well. So we're hoping that this event will bring clearly unique perspectives, because now we have the state, now we have the county, we have Braver Angels, and just these different partnerships where we'll invite our networks. That will be at Sorensen Unity Center. Yeah.
So I'm thinking about the last event we had. What did we do with the data that came from that living room conversation event?
So that data is in the Westside Coalition's hands. I translated it for all of them, or well, transcribed, which was a lot, because people's handwriting, it was stressful. It was stressful. I was like, oh my God, I can't read this. So we might have to think of a different way to take notes.
iPad or tablet type.
I know.
And somebody just be a note taker.
I
Yeah,
wonder if we could ever like record the combos at the tables and then run it through AI and have it just consolidate our notes for us.
is it pretty?
But sometimes it's not accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still pretty, like, I think it's better than the writing.
Yes,
Yeah.
some people's writing, so that took me about like a week and a half to get to that. I will follow up on that, cause I'm sure David might wanna post some of that for homelessness.
Yeah, well, even if we did like, if we recorded it, ran it through, and then at the end, we could have each table review it and be like, oh, that's wrong, or that's right. Just an idea, it could be fast.
Cause yeah,
Like, just like, and then.
cause you have to like play it and listen to it.
I know that might be.
That's what
Oh,
I do it for our Utah Historical
Oh, so
Society.
yes, the
I'm
play
familiar
pause,
with
play
it.
pause.
I'm very familiar with it, cause we use AI, but I have to go in and correct.
Okay, then,
I'm not saying it doesn't work,
no, but I.
but it's better than writing. But you would just have to have somebody listen through it, interns or something.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
not.
we'd like to have it intern. But we will talk about it. We have one more meeting with the committee. So that nitty gritty stuff now, like that's a good point. I don't think we brought that up. We did bring up how we divided them, how we will divide people into groups. So we have clearly round tables of different diverse perspectives, right? So that we're not talking in an echo chamber and we're hoping
It
that.
was, I wanna say it was good in the sense that I was happy I wasn't seeing the same faces at this event.
Right,
Hallelujah, I get tired of seeing the same faces.
it was a little bit a different mix, right? Like I
Yeah,
feel
it
like
was
I met
very
people on our
mixed.
table, yeah,
Like the fire department, a lot of the
yeah.
that was nice. But if we're having state and county added, and is that space gonna be, I mean, it was packed.
I was surprised at how many we
The
were.
Glendale middle.
Yeah, that was about 75 people. I did ask the committee if we wanted to change. But I think we were just keeping this for now because everybody on this committee doesn't want it to be a one and done. So this might be a great partnership for Pamela to continue being on this and we can have ongoing conversations with this. Especially with the Braver Angels model, I'm very excited to see. I haven't been through one or sat through one. So I think we're gonna have more thought and more discussion. So we're hoping that the people that come will wanna be engaged and then we can have a bigger one, maybe use Glendale again, because Glendale was big.
Yeah.
We just had it was a winter storm, so.
And it still was.
And people
It's
still
pretty
showed
big.
up.
Yeah, people still showed
Yeah,
up.
during a
And we
A
had a
storm.
lot of tables,
It's
yeah.
like winter storm, people still showed up.
Yeah, so that's what we kind of thought about. Let's start here. Clearly we have an election ramping up, right? So let's start small. What we can get, well, small 80 is still pretty big. That'll be more than enough data to collect, like.
But in that, I think the spaces,
I know it is, so we have to go see, but
or
yes.
you put it in the gym.
Yeah, we can ask that too. I think Sean will be
I
flexible.
think the
just have
gym
to
is
see.
is spacier.
So we can figure that out, but when I did ask, it seemed like everybody was content with that space, so we can get marketing. Pamela, do you have anything to add?
The sound is really bad, so I didn't hear everything that you said. So if I repeat something that you said, I apologize. In terms of the numbers, because of the 80-person limit, if any of even commissioners that want to attend, we all have to register when we send out the link because we are gonna be limited on attendance in terms of the 80. And so we were talking about that today. Even those of us that have been on the planning committee, we all have to register and are counted as part of the 80 just because of the room limitations. And, seeing how it goes, we could do something larger, but I think also the goal is to have it's really meaningful.
Yes.
And what I would say is if you have friends or family or, uncles who don't necessarily, see things the way, that do have different opinions on immigration and don't agree, bring them along, get them to register, because that is really the thing that we're really trying to do is to get different perspectives in the room, and not have everybody just sort of yay, immigration's great. Because part of it is to come up with some action steps and as Michelle was talking about with the report, that things that we could work on in the future conversations, maybe something bigger, like what comes out of it, maybe people want to actually work together to address the issues. And we know that obviously in this election season and everything that is happening at the US border and a lot of stuff that I deal with every day at work, that it's really important that we find some common ground, because right now it's so polarized and there's so much misinformation out there. So if you have somebody in your life who doesn't necessarily see immigration as a positive thing, I think it's important that we get to hear from them. So get them to register, bring them along, and that would be great.
Thank you.
And it's gonna be it's gonna be awesome. We have a really good committee and it's, the planning has gone really well. So it's gonna be great.
I'm excited, thank you.
Yeah, it'll be very exciting. And clearly it takes kind of a shift, right, from more kind of like government bodies leading this to where homelessness was like really community, the community council and us as the commission, so get excited. I will get that Eventbrite link to you all. We're finalizing marketing and then you all can get registered if you can come. And then last thing here is Human Rights Day. So very exciting. We know Human Rights Day is on December 12th. I mean, it's on December 10th, the annual day, but we're celebrating on December 12th, so 12/12. This is one event that for sure, if you all can clear your calendars, this is a big event for the commission. This is your annual signature event. Everything is on the website already, so I can send this out to you guys. Biggest thing is that nominations are live. So you all will vote at the end of October. So we need these nominations. I'm not concerned. I know we had more than enough applications just from year 1 in 2022 to 2023. It tripled. So I know with year 3, we're hitting the ground running. It will be on at Zions Bank on the 18th floor. So thank you, Will, Commissioner Vice Chair, for leading that effort. And the space will be donated. So thank you to Zions Bank for that as well. They'll be our sponsor in kind for that. And I think we'll be very good in terms of budget. Now that the venue is like out of it, the city will, I don't think we need any additional sponsorships. We'll have enough for food. It'll probably hold about the same as Gallup. So those RSVPs, that's also on our website. This link right here, this QR code takes you there as well. So you all start getting your RSVPs. If you're bringing the family, let us know. As we know, people always drop last minute, right? We don't know how the weather will be that day. Hopefully good. Hopefully good. Because I think it'll be a great event to just explore that 18th floor, have that feel. This is our 3rd year doing it. Now it's more popular. The commission has a logo to be recognizable, and I want you all, this is like the highlight of the year.
What's the attire? The attire?
The attire is always like,
Some people go all out.
yeah, all out cultural. We love to see cultural. Like, I know Esther was her first year, she came in cultural wear. So I think usually we say either business casual or professional or cultural attire, because we want to welcome that. If you have any ideas for cultural performers, we know we do that every year. We have 3 spots. I haven't solidified anything yet, so if you have a recommendation that you know, you all know we like to mix it up with dance, singing, spoken word, something new. We did was it a Brazilian martial arts group last year? So we like to mix it up, and so let me know if you have any ideas for the agenda. I think this year we wanna keep, like, it's a school night, right, I believe. I know Commissioner Dita pointed that out. So we wanna keep to time, so we'll have the awardees. Remember, we have 2 for every category. And we're hoping, as long as this election doesn't cause too much tensions, that we can have people speak this year. They're 30 seconds to a minute, because I think, I worked with our communications team already, and our deputy director for communication. She really wants to make like a video at the end. She wants to include some of you guys in quotes if you don't mind being on camera. And in terms of marketing, she's hoping to get myself, Mayor, some of the commissioners to talk about it, to be on camera with us and say, hey, submit your nominations. Do you know anybody in the community? You know, we're gonna do more of that kind of marketing versus our usual, okay, here's our flyer. And then here's the words. We're gonna be more on camera. So I'll be reaching out to you all, or if you guys know you're interested in that kind of thing and you don't mind being on camera. I know we have some very well-known community members on this commission, so please, we wanna get people to come. But like I said, I'm not worried. I know people will come. This event is like a staple now, so get excited for that. Okay, lastly, while we have 8 minutes, really quickly, this is I didn't wanna show the draft report because there's just a lot of, I feel like it's easier to read like this. So For the report, we're gonna have a section that says review of 2024 goals and priorities. And these were basically the 2024 goals and priorities. It's just a copy and paste from what you all said you wanna do this year. Some of the things I wanna point out, I feel like the commission did increase the visibility with city departments, through your guys' outreach and connection with them. I feel like you guys were able to serve as a liaison between the city and community through your community engagement efforts, so that checks these 2 boxes. And the historical markers project, you all are still involved with that. I believe Damien shared that. Now they're just trying to get some policy going on this. But if you all recall with the historical markers project, right, we're hoping that the Human Rights Commission can be the voting body of the applications that come in. I believe it's gonna be like 2 every 2 years, so basically like 1 per year, so you all will, like, clearly we'll vet it through our office, city council, things like that, and then we'll give you all the list of finalists and you all can choose, but more information to come. You guys are still looped in on this. Why we kind of took a pause is because they're doing some back end stuff with the policy work. One of the concerns clearly, when we talk about land, we always wanna pay respect to our indigenous community. And I know that was a goal of the commission to at least have a commissioner that identifies with the indigenous community, so we have here proud indigenous community members, so I'm really happy that we got that goal, because I know just with land rights right now, I know it's a very sensitive topic that we wanna make sure, I wanna make sure that the commission feels comfortable doing this. And I express that to Damien too, right, because if anything goes wrong and people will come to the commission, you all need to be prepared for that, so, but it's an exciting thing that the commission can be highlighted in that way. So that is to come. I think you all are making good progress on what we have, right? So now the accomplishments in 2024, these are things I'll highlight. So working with the policy advisor on a community resource guide, right, for refugees and new Americans, but clearly it's for all. Drafting a process for ordinance and transmittal review with HRC involvement, that's the research Commissioner Terry has been working on with me, so hopefully we can finalize something, get it to my office and city council that it'll work. Because the commission, one of your big goals is to support and advise and recommend. You serve as an advisor to mayor and city council, that's a big part of your role, and both of them. So both sides of the party. You all were able to join the Community Partners Against Hate, and I'll develop that a little bit, this is just shortcut, the 76th Human Rights Day celebration, and increased community engagement, right? So we saw the 2 forums, we have the partnership with community partners. One thing I wanna highlight is the Youth Summit to Eradicate Hate. That is one thing with the Community Partners Against Hate. They're basically doing it for youth. This will be on November 15th. I will put this on your calendars if any of you can make it. I think it's just good for you all. If you recall, youth was a subject that was, very important to the commission at one point. Most of you all have, children, youth, adopted children, all of the above, right? So I think you all, your logo will be on the sweaters that the students will get. So just a little bit of this to recap, it'll be Highland, West High, and East High, all paid for. We'll select 35 students. We're leaving that up to the school district from each of those schools, right? And we're gonna facilitate this youth summit. Liz Page with the Community Partners Against Hate and the United Jewish Federation. This was her passion project that she loved when we went to the Eradicate Hate Summit last year in Pittsburgh, and they did this with the youth there that came to the conference. So we want to do it here locally, and it's finally coming to life. So
What's the tentative date on that?
November 15th. I will be out of town, that's why I want you all to try and I'll get this on your calendars, it will be on my to-do list tomorrow, I promise, cause I know
And
there's
what's
a
the
lot.
name of the summit?
I believe it is Youth Summit to Eradicate Hate, but don't quote me on that. I will have it to you all,
It's, MCA is not part of this, are they? Multiculturalism.
No,
Step-
so this is just, the Community Partners Against Hate, the city, so the, My Brother's Keeper will be a part of it.
Oh, okay.
And youth city government as well, with Representative Romero on that. They'll be leading, as well as the Salt Lake City
Yeah,
School
okay,
District.
yeah.
So this is just a Salt Lake City event with these three schools. Clearly, this is just the inaugural year, right? So we're hoping that this can grow and that this can get out of Salt Lake City. But right now, all of our resources are in Salt Lake City. So yes, that is something to look forward to. The way they're recruiting the students, I believe they're starting with affinity groups and student government. Just because usually it'll be like a field trip for them, so that will be a Friday. And then the school district's working out, the buses and making sure the student, like
They're
it's
providing
really, yeah,
transportation.
yeah, like food is covered, they're getting these, I think it's very nice hoodies. I can let them know as well, since the commission is involved, if you plan to be there, I'll make sure you all can get some good swag too, cause I know they're planning for the. Yeah, it's really nice, like I'll send you all of that and I'll make sure that the commission's logo is on it. The place is to be determined, cause we were gonna try for the library, but they said we can't have food
How
in
big
the.
other than we do?
105, because 35 per school, right? Plus, like,
Probably like 100.
plus us, right?
Mhm.
Like, well, I'll be out of town, but plus the committee has probably like 10. Of course, the students need their like, advisor or the teacher that's over that group. I'm thinking we can get close to 150 with all of us. We're hoping that the youth city government can be like the student leaders, like the peer leaders that can kind of help facilitate things, since they already have that extra set of leadership skills, but they want mentors, like the adults, to be there to also, we'll have counselors as well. So Salt Lake City School District's handling that to make sure if something is a trigger warning, we have that available. So it's a very well-oiled machine. And I think, again, with you all, well, most of you all having kids and stuff, I think you would wanna be a part of this and try to see like, oh, how can I bring this to my student's school or whatever, and we were hoping to grow this. So, okay, yeah, let's see, cause I know they had some different things, they were thinking like Slick, Westminster, like a college, so that the high school students have that experience, but we were trying to think of proximity.
Westminster has a nice venue.
I know, I think they're trying to get it donated, so we have a lot of partners on that,
I think
like,
those
yeah.
are.
Yes, like DHS is a partner, so Homeland Security is a partner, the Department of Public Safety, like I said, My Brother's Keeper is with this, the United Jewish Federation, we have some good partners on there. I think I'm missing a few people. Jennifer Newell is also working with me on it, since she oversees education, so she has that background. Yeah. So in terms of the last thing, before we just wrap up here, is an example from 2023 of what recommendations look like, right? I know we had subcommittees back then, and it probably, maybe will look kind of similar, but this is kind of what I'm looking for, right? So concrete, like the HRC will support the chief equity officer and equity manager in implementing the intersectional gender equity analysis, including internal data collection and community listening sessions. Or you can see here with gentrification, addressing geographic inequity based on information provided in the gentrification study and transmit relevant policy recommendations to mayor and city council. So in terms of recommendations, this is what I'm looking for. Some might be an update, right? But most things are like an action item. What can the commission do next year to support your goal or priority? And this is why I need it in writing, because I only know based on what you all are thinking. Everything else is covered by me though, I will do everything. And then the chair and vice chair already submitted their message, we're gonna look through that. But yes, this is what I'm looking for, and I'm happy to send these slides over with these, I mean, it's very straightforward, I can probably screenshot this. But whenever I say recommendations, this is what I'm kind of looking for. What are we gonna do? What are the action items? So I think that's it for me.
Okay, well, thank you, Michelle. Any other items that any commissioners want to bring up? Well, our next meeting will be on November 12th.
Because election day
Because
is,
election
yep,
day is
so we don't meet
yeah,
on
the
election
following.
day.
So we won't meet on election day, next on the 12th, we meet on the 12th. And then we'll be voting on. Yeah, okay, we'll be voting on Human Rights Day awardees that day, but,
No, that is just end of year report.
okay, no, end of year, yeah, okay. All right, well, motion to it, can.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm learning, guys. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Okay,
I second.
okay, great. All in favor? Okay. Adjourned at 7:03 PM on September 3rd.
Okay, thank you everyone
Thanks.
online.